Hey everybody, this is Coach Floyd. Welcome to week 11. This video is about mouse events. We're going to be doing mouse clicks and um, mouse moves. Okay, um, very similar in the way they work. Just wording is just a little bit different. Okay, so let's look through the mouse clicked. Um, so what this does is it responds to, of course, your mouse being clicked, and what that is a mouse click method. So mouse click method just sits and waits for a click. When the mouse is clicked, this is the function that is called. Okay, so you can name this function whatever you want to. It's named click handler right here, but you can name it anything. Okay, so it's very similar to the kind of how the set timer. This is our callback function, like what you have with a set timer. So when you write your function down here, you write it normally, and you have an E as a parameter. This is very important. You must have it in order for it to work. And what E does is finds the location of the mouse. Okay, so in order to find where your mouse is, you have to use that E. So here is an example of a program that has a circle that follows or that goes to the location of the mouse. So function start, have a mouse click method. It calls click handler. So when I click, there's a typo. This should be click handler right here. These two are matched up, and you'll see it. Let's just go over here and look. So here is so what I've done is I've called it draw circle. Okay, so mouse click method, draw circle. So every time I click, draw circle is called. So I'm creating a circle, radius 20, and I'm doing my set position at e.getX. So this right here gets the current X location of my mouse on the canvas. Okay, so what pixel it is at. Also, then you get your e.getY. And we add the circle. So when I run my code, and I pull my mouse down here onto the canvas, no matter where it is, when I click, a circle pops up at that mouse location. I move, click again, and I click again. Now, the reason I'm making multiple circles is because I'm creating my circle in my callback function. If I created my circle in my start function and just changed the position, then it would just move the circle to my mouse. This is basically, all you do to it. So what you got to do is you got to ask yourself, what is my goal? Am I making one circle and moving it to the mouse click, or am I putting multiple circles on based upon the mouse click? All right. So let's look at the teleporting ball. This is your first exercise. What it does is it starts you with the bouncing ball code from lesson 4. So when you run it, you have the ball bouncing across the screen. Now what it should do is you should be able to click and the ball teleports from its current location to the location of the mouse. In order to do that, here's the pseudocode. You need a mouse click method that should call, and I just created the function callback. I've got my E. In my callback function, I need to set the position. I do not do a move. I don't do a ball.move. I do a ball.set position. I set the position of the ball to the location of the mouse. I don't have to create a new one or anything like that. And then I set the color of the ball to a random color. Alright, so ultimately you have this, and when you click, the ball moves to the location of the mouse, keeps moving, but changes the color. Okay, and all that is you're creating this function and calling it right here. Alright, everything else is from that teleporting ball that it gives you. Let's look at the pause. So again, it starts you with the code to have the ball moving around the screen. So what you're wanting to do is when you click, it pauses the ball's movement. So when you click, the ball is moving again, it should pause, or if the ball is already paused, it should start moving again. Hint, try using a Boolean. you do not want to stop your timer in this. I get a lot of people that try to stop a timer and then restart a timer, and you don't want to do multiple timers. Okay, so that's why we have the hint of creating a Boolean. So I'm going to start with a Boolean, and I'm going to call it is moving. And when of course, a Boolean has a true or false value. When we start the program, let's look at our demo. When we run our demo, on the start, the ball should be moving. So is moving should be true. Now, I need mouse click method. And I'm going to call pause. I'm just going to name my function. Oops. Well, I can't hit the right button. There we go. So function pause. Now remember, with a mouse click method, I must have an E. Even though we're not going to use E, if I try to run it without E, I'm going to get an error. So what basically happens in here is when you click, it wants your Boolean to negate itself. So if it was true, it becomes false. If it was false, it becomes true. And you could do that with an if-else statement, right? So if is moving is true, then you change is moving to false, otherwise. But the easiest way is to go is moving equals, and I'm going to negate it with the not operator. And that's all I'm going to do, because so what this does is if is moving is true, then it becomes not true, so it's false. If this is false, then it becomes not false, so then it resets to true. But when I run this, that doesn't do anything. The reason is the piece of code that actually controls whether or not the ball is moving is this right here. This line, this ball.move. So basically what I'm saying is I have a Boolean that is going to control if the ball can move. So I need to wrap ball.move with an if statement and only let the ball move if my Boolean says it should. Okay, so I'm going to let you do that part, and that's all there is to it. Alright, so more mouse events. Basically, we saw the mouse click method. There's a mouse move method, which we're about to do. And then we're not really going to use these. The mouse down, which is basically the same as a click. Mouse up when you let go of the mouse. And mouse drag is when you click and then move, or you hold down and move. But we're just going to use this mouse move method. Still the same thing, still has a callback function, still uses E. So this is a simple painting, creating a circle, adding it to the screen. And I have my mouse move method, okay, and it is calling paint. And paint changes the position of the circle to the location of the mouse. So when I run it, it just follows me around. Now, if I want to actually paint the screen, then I bring, I take this code, I cut it out of there, and I put it down here. And now as I just move my circle around, I'm painting the screen. Alright, and that's because I'm making a new ball every single time. And if I go really fast, it kind of spresses them out, try to catch up to me. So again, the question I have to ask myself is, am I making one object and moving it around, or am I putting multiple objects down? And that determines the location of where I create my circles. Okay, here's the same thing. This is actually using the drag method, so I have to click and then drag. But if I change this to move, then I can just it can just follow me. And it's the same thing that I just had, except I am using a random color. All right, so that's pretty cool. Let's see here. Okay, let's move into the two exercises for this. So what you're doing is when you start, nothing's on the screen, but as you move, you have a text box that actually prints out the e.getx and the e.gety and tells you what pixel coordinates you are at in the canvas. So I got some pseudocode here. So the first thing, I'm only creating one text box and then changing the value of what the text says. Okay, so create a text box, set the position to the top left of the canvas, which is just basically your x is 0 and your y is this. Add it to the screen. Now, when you create your text box, if I look in my docs over here, I create my text box. My label, this is what it should, this is what your label would be saying. You can just leave that blank, just an open close quotation mark, because it doesn't actually pop up until you start moving. Now, down here in my callback function, I'm going to set the text to the location of the mouse, and I'm going to use this piece of code right here. So txt.setText, and then this is where I use my e.getx, e.gety, and I would put it in there. So that means that every time my callback function is called, because I'm moving the mouse, then I change what it says. All right, and that is, that's about that. So text box, use this piece of code in your callback function. Make sure you call your mouse move method, and go from there. If you have any trouble with it, send me an email. Let me help. And last one, target. So starts with lines on the screen. Doesn't really matter where you start them. That's just it in the middle. But as you move, the target follows your mouse. So basically, you're going to have two lines, right? Your vertical line will only follow the mouse in the X direction, and your horizontal line will only follow the mouse in the Y direction. Also, it's going to throw in a mouse click method, and when you click, it's going to drop down a red dot. Okay, you can see this would probably be set up into a game. We're not worried about that. Now, we're going to use these right here, set line position, and or set position and set endpoint, and we'll show you how to do that in a minute. Okay, pseudocode some of this. I'm going to create a line. We'll call it line 1, or let's call it horizontal line, and create a vert line. So you would do that just like normal. Come over here, come to line, and I would make two lines. Just make sure you call them different things. Give it a starting x1, y1, and an x2, y2. Okay. Add those to the screen. Let's go mouse. Goodness. Mouse click method. I need one of those. Make sure you call, give it something, and I need a mouse move method. These are going to call different things, so we'll call this click, and we'll call this move. When I have this right here, call my click, make sure you have your E. All this is going to do is just going to create, it's going to put down a red circle at the location of the mouse. We just did that in our mouse click. Go over there, steal that. No big deal. For this one, function move, still gotta have an E on this one. Guys, what we're doing, make sure that your lines are, when you create those, make sure that they're actually up here. So when you do like a var vert line, just do that part up here, and then actually create it down here. But that makes it global, so I can see it down here. So what I would do is I would do, let's see, like vert line dot set position. Okay, so this, and this is the x1, y1 of my vertical line. Well, my vertical line, I need my y to always stay at 0. My x is actually going to follow the x of my mouse. Okay, so that is the front part, and then I'm going to go vertline.set end point, and that's my x2, y2. Well, again, my e.getX, because I need it to follow in the x direction, and then my y is always going to stay at the bottom of the screen, so it stays at get height. Your horizontal line would be almost the same, except you're following the mouse in the y direction. Okay, so that's pretty much it. You just need to finish that out. If you have any trouble, please send me an email. Let me know, and I'll look at your code and send it back to you. All right. Hope you have a good week,